Hello.
Hi, how are you? I'm David.
Hello, Dave Peltz, right?
That's correct. Nice to meet you, Mark. How are you?
I'm good. I didn't meet you back in 2015 when I worked first with Joel, I believe.
I don't think so,
Okay,
but
just to
it's
be
nice to
sure.
meet you. It's nice to meet you now. Looking forward to working with you.
Yeah, same here. Someone else is knocking at the door. This would be Aaron Souza, who will be working as our associate producer of the event.
Great.
Hello, Aaron. Aaron is also my great niece.
Hi, Aaron. How are you?
Aaron, can you hear us?
Hi, Uncle Mark.
Hello, Jamie and
Hi, Mark.
Aaron. Jamie and Aaron, this is Dave Peltz, who is our tech support guy. So, Dave, where are you?
I'm in Horsham, Pennsylvania, in my control center. As you can see, there's some gear on the back. As a matter of fact, here, let me see if I can do this for you.
Oh my goodness, you got a control.
Wow.
Oh, I have a full-blown huge control center.
Whoa.
I'm actually a director and a technical director, and will be yours.
Oh, okay. And you're a director as well.
Long time. You know, I'm an old guy.
Well, I got you beat, man.
Yeah, a little bit.
Yeah, that's where I started as live directing back at UCLA in the early 70s.
What did you direct there?
Well, I did academic stuff. We did operations like you couldn't believe, and then various things. And then I moved back to where I am originally from, the Silicon Valley. And I really got out of live directing and was just producing and directing, you know, the latest little black box bullshit. But the money was very good. So, and I was a writer down in LA. So,
and what did you write?
Oh, I was trying to break into sitcom writing, and then I got involved with this damn sport, team handball. So I
what
moved
year
to
was
Colorado
that?
Springs and did the whole thing.
What year did you get involved?
With handball?
Yeah.
I started in 77 at the UCLA club team. And 6 months later, I was in Edmonton, Canada, playing Canada for the right to go to Romania to play in the World Cup.
Wow.
Which was not so much a testament to my athletic ability as the cupboard was bare. All the guys who were on the 76 team had retired. So they were desperate for guys. But I had played football and basketball at UCLA. So anyway, we'll go into that later. Joel,
quite a storied career.
Joel is joining.
Hey, Mark.
Hey, Joel.
Hey, Dave.
And
that's
Joel
Aaron.
Is Aaron and Jamie.
Jamie.
Aaron will be working as associate producer. Joel is the guy behind Streaming Bite TV, which is the people who are providing us the live streaming capabilities and the cameras and all that good stuff. And Dave's working for Joel. And there's two other people here knocking. I love this in a Zoom. It's, oh, look, someone else is here. Where is it? I lost my thing, my little sign that says, okay, here's Mary Pat, who will be producing the event. And she should be appearing. And also JD, who is my partner in American Handball Associates. There she is. Hello, Mary Pat.
Hey there.
Hello.
Hi there. Nice to meet everybody.
And real quickly, the box that says tech support, we won't call him Tech, we'll call him Dave. And that's Dave Peltz, who's tech director of the live streaming broadcast. And then the two shot we have is Erin Souza, who's our associate producer, and her son Jamie, who we hope will be there, working the drone outside during the day, and then our official photographer for the event. And then the man in the blue shirt is Joel Rienstra, who runs live streaming Byte TV, who's providing the live streaming services. And then Mary Pat. And then finally here is JD, who is coming in from Columbus, Ohio. And he is my partner in American Handball Associates.
Howdy, Mark.
Hello, JD. So as you can see, the two guys running American Handball Associates, or AHA, as we love to call it.
No pun intended.
Great name for a band. Yeah.
Because of an agreement that was made years ago with the USOC, and the conflict between handball, the way we play it with a ball about this big, and handball in America with the little black ball, we're forced to call it team handball. And anything that relates to the Olympic sport in this country and the national governing body, which is USA Team Handball. That's the organization that runs handball. But because we're not associated with any of that, and because we're determined to get rid of this whole confusion, because the rest of the world, nowhere else is our game referred to as team handball. It's only in America, and it causes all kinds of confusion. So we were quick to grab onto the opportunity to call our organization American Handball Associates, and that gives us the opportunity to have an aha moment.
That's a long way to get there.
And this little gathering here is certainly an aha moment. And just to give you a little bit of background before we dive into the official agenda, we're about to stage Handball Heroes 2. Handball Heroes 1 happened last year in association with the California Cup, which is a big tournament. Here's Max Littman joining us, who's also part of AHA and also out in Columbus. And we'll say a quick hello to Max.
Hi, Max.
Hey guys, sorry, I was in a work meeting.
Hey, Max.
No excuses.
His fellow Colombian is getting in his face there, a little Ohio trash talk. Anyways, so we staged Handball Heroes 1 in association with the Cal Cup in January of 2020, just before the pandemic hit, in response to the CEO of USA Team Handball at the time firing his predecessor, a guy named Mike Cavanaugh, who we all knew for years and who had been one of the most selfless developers and promoters and coaches and players of the sport over the years. And they gave him a little send-off at a Chicago tournament in the summer of 2019, which nobody attended. So I got pissed off and said, we need to do something better. And so we created Handball Heroes 1, which attracted a lot of guys. And that was sort of the first event that AHA officially threw, but JD and I had been talking through this notion of creating an organization to promote handball that would exist no matter what the national governing body was going through. And at that time, USA Team Handball had been in totally brought down by political stalemate. For 2 years, they did nothing because the board of directors was locked in a political battle. They had a 10-year strategic plan that was focused on developing a collegiate league that nothing was happening on because of that. Then they hired a new CEO that had he was from triathlon, and he had no feeling for the legacy of our sport. And little by little, we got a little more frustrated with the situation. And out of that frustration, and I guess you can say out of the idle time that we had because of the pandemic, AHA grew. And we suddenly said, we should do this. And I have been pursuing a film about our first Olympic team back in 1972, a film called Army Champs. We decided to fold that into an AHA project. We're now working on a Midwest Collegiate League, which is part of this 10-year strategic plan. We've got other little PR projects going. We produced a video press release about our men's national team that was within inches of getting to Cairo in January for the World Championships. And JD was actually in Cairo, this close to it.
One of the few who made it.
And then the team, most of the team tested positive for COVID, and so the team bounced out. And we had already sent this video press release to about 100 media reps across the country. So we're here just to make noise and make things happen that we felt weren't getting done. And we felt that the legacy of the sport wasn't getting respected. We saw a future where more and more outside folks would be coming in to run the sport, like Barry Siff, the triathlete, coming in to run it. Now it's being run by a 33-year-old wrestler. And Ryan is a good guy. We like him, and we think good things are going to happen. We want to work in collaboration with him. Ryan will be at our event, and he'll be part of the program. But we want to create an organization that works on its own, that knows the game, that will hopefully be doing more live streaming of actual games, and that brings handball, or team handball as we're forced to call it, to the American public. So real quick, let's just go around and introduce yourselves to everybody. I've done a little bit of that as you've come through, but this is the team that we're going to be working with. And then when we come back, I'll go into share screen mode and we'll go through the handout. Did everybody get the handouts that I sent? So we'll go through those real quick and get a sense for how the day is going to play out and what roles are going to be. I don't want to take more than 45 minutes of your time. And I've already blathered on enough. So I'll turn things over in order of my little boxes at this point. And we'll start with Dave, who will be working as technical director.
Actually, I'm director and technical director. Joel is not going to be with us.
Oh, okay.
So I play both roles. And I'm looking forward to, I appreciate the rundown. And you're a guy like me who says rundown rather than run of show. So, you know, clearly we have some history there together. But I'm looking forward. Will I have somebody sitting next to me? Mary Pat or Aaron or?
You'll have me.
You'll have you. Okay. Well, that's great. I'll have a nice big client monitor for you. And yeah, looking forward to seeing all the graphics and other show assets and music. And maybe too, at some point you can talk about how the drone will be played into this and why you provided a list of who's at each table. Is that for the show or is that for just general information?
Yeah, that's just for general information, although it plays into it a little bit.
Okay. So look forward to hearing more about that.
Okay. And we'll go to Aaron and Jamie.
You want to start?
Hi, I'm Jamie, and I hopefully will be there flying a drone around you guys.
And to be clear, the drone is stuff that we're going to be doing before the show. We're not doing live. We're going to hopefully record a segment for a roll-in opening that I'd like to cut to a live shot and make it kind of seem like it's live, but we won't. So we'll do that in the afternoon, and we're trying to stage a game outdoors in the afternoon that we'll shoot. But for the actual show, Jamie will be going back to his roots in photography.
Excellent. Thank you.
And I'm Erin. I'm going to be the associate producer, I believe. Okay. Is that correct? Okay.
And you'll be working with me primarily.
Okay.
And primarily that will be using my phone to coordinate the call-ins.
Okay.
Like there's one call we're trying to arrange from Spain.
Yeah, so I noticed there was going to be some live stream.
Well, the whole thing is live stream, but there's live calls coming in.
Okay.
Are we going to be doing video calls in using the built-in technology that we have in our systems?
That's what I was hoping for.
Yes. It would be good to do a test with somebody on days before the event, so we can check everything from internet connection on their end to lighting and sound.
Okay. Well, let's talk about that when we get to that point in the agenda.
Sure.
Okay, Joel, going back the other way.
Yeah, thanks, Mark. Hi, everyone. I'm Joel, and I run StreamBite TV, and I'll be coming on as a remote producer for this project, making sure that Dave and his crew have everything they need as far as equipment, and you know, making sure that our web destinations are set. I've worked with Mark. I worked with him once before, actually streaming. I guess it was the U.S. Nationals, right, Mark, back in 2015 in York, Pennsylvania. So I do have some familiarity with your sport, and look forward to being more involved here in the future.
Okay, great. And Mary Pat Fortier.
Hi, everyone. I am event producer for whatever that might entail. I assume that I am going to be doing mostly logistical support, coordinating the site requirements that you have, making sure that they can be met, handling the welcoming of people, the processing of people in and out, making sure that the setup of the tables is appropriate, name cards, place cards, badges for people to wear. I guess we have to talk about a health screening or getting people's screening in advance, or what the process for that will be. Arranging for food for crew, any other practical needs that you have. I'm just the logistical person.
Gee, I didn't even have to write her job description. That's what I. Yeah. So while
I'm formulating my job in my head as I speak.
While I'm concentrating on sitting next to Dave and getting the show out, and coordinating some of the activities geared to that prior to when we go on the air. When it comes to the actual event minus live streaming, you're the person. And I'm going to try to get you an intern. So I'll be advertising this week on Craigslist. So you have an assistant. Aaron will also be available for you to help out. When it comes to greeting people, JD and Max know of Craig Gilbert, who is one of our contacts at the place that we're going to is called the SSC, which is, you got to throw the in there, I've learned. Which is the Swim and Sport Club. And this is the birthplace of handball in America, basically. And it goes back to the early 50s with this German social club. So they play fistball, they play soccer, they play everything that Germans play back in the old country, including handball. And the Bunings, well, Peter came over here and married into Renata's family, and that became their center, and there's bungalows around the place, and the Bunings have their family bungalow. So anyway, I got off track there, but so when it comes to the event, I know what I wanted to say about Craig Gilbert is Craig is an 84 Olympian. He's from West Point. And he and his wife are very involved with SSC. So he sort of dips in and out taking care of things. So he suddenly, I guess, got hold of Cindy Stinger, and we now have a bunch of lanyards from the USOC with the USOC lanyard with the empty pocket. So that'll be one of the things. I'd like to get names in there, and I can do the artwork for it. So that'll be one of the things that we work on. We need to set up a little stand where we hand those out and check either proof of vaccination or proof of test within the last couple of days. As far as I can tell, the governor's going to release all restrictions on June 15th, but nothing will be done between now and then. So,
in New York?
No, in New Jersey.
This is in New Jersey.
Oh, it's in New Jersey. Okay.
Yeah, is everybody clear on where we're going?
No.
Okay. I should probably let you know.
I thought it was Long Island, but
no, it got moved.
Originally,
it got moved
from Long Island to a place called essentially Flanders, New Jersey.
It's sort of in central,
it's about
northern
45 minutes outside of Newark.
Okay. Just trying to figure out logistics in terms of flying there.
Right. So you definitely want to fly to Newark.
Newark.
Yeah, Southwest doesn't fly there anymore.
Oh.
What?
Oh.
You can fly, Southwest flies to LGA. You could fly to LGA.
I could go to LaGuardia or even Philly if I had to.
I was going to say Philly is a second option, but LaGuardia has vastly improved.
Yeah,
we did a lot of renovations
I'll get there. I was planning to fly into like either Islip or LaGuardia, but I'll figure it out.
Aaron worked for years for Southwest, and
I worked for Southwest as well.
You did?
Yeah, I did. In
Where?
communications and outreach at HQ.
Oh, really? So I took the buyout that they did in 2020.
Oh, yeah.
But I was a SWAU instructor.
Oh, sweet. Yeah.
all right.
Great place.
I love people who work for Southwest because they get to fly free.
Well, yeah, I have lifetime benefits, so that's why I was like, Southwest doesn't go to Newark anymore.
I do not have lifetime benefits.
Jamie gets to fly free for a while, so we're trying to tap into that. Let's see. We'll go to JD and conclude our introductions here.
So Max and I will be, we're both handball guys from Columbus, Ohio here. Like Mark gave us a full intro on our involvement, but as for the weekend activities, will be some of the kind of talent doing some of the funny lines and kind of the comic relief. I think we'll be kind of reading through comments on the live stream and just keeping everybody entertained. So kind of the young faces on the scene, since I think it'll be Max and I, and then probably a 20 to 30, maybe 40-year age gap. So
Wow.
He's being kind about the age gap. Notice how he started with 20 and then
nice of you.
way up. 20, 30, well, maybe 40.
Count last.
It's actually 43, but who's counting? Yes, and you'll be doing, every time we cut to you, you need to be plugging, writing checks to the foundation.
Yes. To the money guy.
Jerry telethon style.
So that's one thing. I think Dave and Joel, we talked a little bit, or at least Joel, we talked a little bit about a wireless camera.
Right.
A handheld, and that's the other person in our crew, Chris Pedersen, who is all booked, and he worked the 2015 Nationals, so he'll be there working the handheld. So we just want to be able to use that camera to occasionally go back to the bar and shoot these two guys, hopefully with wireless microphones, and be able to have them comment, or that it doesn't have to be wireless. We can hardwire it. You see what I'm talking about?
Yeah. The only thing I'll say about the wireless camera, so when you're considering the layout of the room, the wireless link needs to be line of sight to wherever the receiver is set up. So if it's in the bar area, if we have our receiver set up somewhere in that same room, and we have line of sight over to our control area, then that's fine. I did see something on the handout mentioning going in and out of the building. That may or may not work well with that wireless link.
Right.
So we'd have to test it when we're there.
That's something we could test before the show, right?
Yeah, for sure. We can test and see the limits of where we have decent reception. Just we might not be able to go outside the building. That's all. So we might just have to kind of, adjust our shot selection based on where we're getting.
Well, when we go through the handouts, which will be just a second, we'll talk that line of sight issue.
Yeah.
Okay, and lastly, Max.
Yeah, I guess I have pretty much the same as JD. I'm a handball guy from Columbus. Me and JD have been going to SSC for years now, so we know the layout. If anyone has any questions, really well. It's a great place. It'll be a fun time.
JD, you said at one point that you thought that the Columbus guys might be willing to come up and play an outdoor game.
I mean, yeah, we can ask. I think it's not too difficult for us to tell the guys we're going to Flanders. I think they wouldn't say no to that. So, yeah. So if we need us to, Max and I could bring, 5 or 6 other guys, and we could play, and call it a day.
They would do it for a couple of pitchers, like not even joking.
Well, I'll spring for the beer, and it'll be all set up right there at the beer garden.
They would very much come if you did that.
Because here's the thing, I put it out to Benny is all set, so he's got New York City all set to go, and Craig is the guy who suggested this, and now I can't get anybody from SSC to form a team, and you know, and I can't get anybody from New York Athletic Club to jump on it, which would be the natural choice to me since they're right there. So I'm going to try one more time with those guys, but I may come back to you and say if they're willing, because I'd really like to try to do this drone experiment and see what we can do outdoors and covering that game. And
yeah, we don't like New York City, so we're always down to beat them up. So that's fine.
All right, I'll trash talk Benny and.
Oh yes.
Okay, well let me do a share screen here with you, and we'll go to.
Maybe you can play United.
So we went through those introductions. Oh, by the way, I don't know if you ever saw, but this is the final invite with my basic graphic skills, but you can see here, Swim and Sport Club, 272 Emans Road, Flanders, New Jersey. But Aaron and Jamie and JD, you guys all have rooms. Now, if you guys bring up the RV, should I get a room for Max, or is somebody spending the night in the RV?
Oh, Max and I can stay together. So yeah, we would, if we brought the RV, we'd both just sleep in the RV. So if that's possible, I mean, whatever's easiest.
So that's one of the things I have to talk. I want to park the RV right on the SSC lot. There's plenty of room.
Yeah.
And Mark, Jamie and I can share a room also.
Okay, well, I've got you in separate rooms right now, and I will email everybody. You're staying at the Quality Inn. I forget what town. Oh, Ledgewood is the town, but I'll send you all that information. All right, so anyway, and we're charging $195 per ticket. So this is a fundraiser for the U.S. Team Handball Foundation. And they're the ones who fronted us $5,000 to run this event. So we've gotten a lot of response, and one of our AHA members, Dennis Burkholz, is really hitting the phones with all his connections, even with beach handball, to get them to donate. So we'll see what happens, but we're also hoping that we get a lot of donations from the live stream. Okay, let me bring up. So you saw the whole script. I'm not going to go through that, but I will go through the rundown. So we'll have a video roll in to begin the show, Dave.
Gotcha.
And that will then hopefully connect to a live shot that will be outside if we can pull it off, be inside. And that very quickly goes to another roll in, which is hopefully a funny video. But we feel very blessed that a lot of you don't know who Paul Bray is. But Paul Bray is the voice of English-speaking handball. So if you listen to the World Championships that were just on ESPN Plus in January, as he described the action from the opening rounds to the finals, you heard by himself with no other color announcer, Paul Bray. And he's very intelligent, and JD and I just think the world of him, probably Max as well. So I had this crazy idea of involving him in a skit where I play his insanely jealous brother. And I'm going to do this bit where we go through the history of handball in America, and it's all wrong. We have fun with it. And then Paul Bray comes to interrupt and correct it. And we got Paul to actually do it for us. And we recorded it last Thursday. And it turns out he's this great guy. And it also turns out he lives 2 blocks from where I lived when I was living over there working, directing management training videos in the little town of Ealing, which is outside of London. So we're good buddies now, and I feel like we could go back to him and do other projects. So I think we've got a real kind of cool opening to grab everybody's attention. Of course, not that many people know who Paul Bray is, but when we do the video, we'll show a clip of his work in the recent World Championships. And my wife will do a voiceover introducing him to say, we tried to get him and we couldn't. So here's his idiot brother. And anyway, we're happy about that. So then out of that video, Paul literally introduces on screen our first MC, who is Dennis Burkholz. Everybody knows Dennis. He'll come on and probably go about 5 minutes just talking about his memories of our 3 founders. And he will then go into the introduction for our first founder, who is Peter Buning. I'm still waiting to hear from the Buning family as to who wants to be the presenter. So our first 2 founders are no longer with us. So the presenter still has to be told to me, and the acceptor still has to be told. But there will be a video roll-in, Dave, at that point. They will be cued to say, here's a brief video look at my father, or whoever it is. We roll that video, then the acceptor comes up, and we have the awards that should be ready for JD to pick up on June 3rd, according to Awards Ohio. So JD will be picking up, we have 3 really nice looking awards, and we got feedback from people to make sure we got it right. And the engraving is right.
Excuse me, Mark.
Yes.
When will the video roll-ins be available?
Probably as I come into town, which will be on June 2nd.
Any chance of getting anything earlier than that?
I'll give them to you as I produce them.
That'd be great. I'll give you an uplink place, Dropbox uplink.
Well, I have a Hightail account.
Okay.
So I'll send them to you by that.
That's fine. Thanks.
But I got to tell you, I'm doing them piece by piece when, I'm doing Zoom interviews, and I can't finish this one until Thursday when I talk to somebody. So it's a work in progress. Okay. The opening video, the stupid silly one, I shoot that my on cameras tomorrow, and that'll probably be done by Wednesday or Thursday.
Okay. And you have show graphics as well?
What's that?
You have show graphics as well, and either a list of lower thirds or a set of lower thirds?
I'll have those. I'll make that a priority and get that to you because, I'll work on that look and the list, and I'll have that for you by Wednesday.
Wonderful. Okay, thank you.
Okay, great. Thanks for reminding me. Okay, after we finish Peter Buning, then we go to the first call-in, which is Javier Garcia Cuesta, the former men's and women's national team coach. So this is the call that's coming from Spain. So I rather imagine, Aaron, that you'll be tied up before that calling him. And he's real shaky about technology. So I've got to do a lot of work this week to line this up. But you'll be on my phone to call him. He'll be on his laptop.
Okay.
Checking in. Is that not right, Joel and Dave, when we do call-ins?
Yes, but we do want to test it well several days in advance. We'd like to ask him to have earphones so we don't hear the audio that we're sending him back through his microphone coming to us. And obviously a nice light like you have by your desk to light him up well. And then we'll look at the background and we'll make sure he has a non-distracting background. I think we can increase Javier's overall confidence level by taking some time, whatever. I don't care what time of day or night for the US. We can make it work for his schedule, but let's plan for several days in advance to do a test with each call in.
Okay. If you, all right. Let me.
I'll make that work.
Yeah, I'll work on that.
And Mark, you're intending that these call-ins would be shown on a screen there on site as well, right?
Yes.
Okay.
That would be my hope.
Yeah, so that should be doable. Now, you're not needing to have any two-way conversation, though, right, with the person who is doing the remote presentation. They'll call in, we'll push them out on the screen, but you're not going to have like a dialogue back and forth with someone at a podium and the remote speaker.
Well, it sounds like that would be a problem.
Well, no, we have to prepare. I wasn't thinking that it was going to be that. It is doable, but that might change, our setup a little bit if that's.
Yeah, I'm starting to wonder, Joel, whether we need an A1 for this. I'm hearing wireless mics. I'm hearing things that are beyond the scope of the room itself.
Well, and Mark, so you have a sound system already in the room, is that correct?
Right.
Yeah. So when you're mentioning the wireless mics, is that something that the sound person at the venue would be running if we can?
No, the wireless mics are solely for JD and Max to make comments at breaks in the show.
Mm-hmm.
And we're going to have camera coverage of them. Is that by the handheld?
Right.
So we can certainly wire in even a wired mic to the handheld or a wireless.
That would be perfect.
Right. I am concerned, though, Joel is absolutely right. If we're going to have any conversations, which is natural with the person there, we are going to send them audio. We're going to send them mix minus. The challenge gets into having a good audio operator on site because the playback videos need to be played back, but not sent back to me. And if I'm going to take a feed from the board that is going to be the podium mic and any other mics on tables or something around the room, then I don't want anything. I don't want the playbacks to go through the board and come back to me. So the board has to be well enough equipped that it can split these various signals. Do you know, is this a real audio operator who's going to be there? Is it somebody from the hotel? Is it we plug whatever we want?
No, it's just here's the system. So do we need to get a guy?
Well, if we're not going to have any operator on the hotel side, it would be good to have a guy.
Well, it's not a hotel.
Or I'm sorry, the room. So there's nobody from the venue who is a real audio operator. Is that correct?
That's correct.
Okay. And are the speakers in the ceiling?
That I don't know. I can find that out.
Yeah, that may be one of several things to find out. Because Joel, if we need to bring our own freestanding PA, we can do that. And if we need to, have more control over what we send to the PA, you know, maybe it's something we bring an A1 for or an A2. So just something to consider as we go more forward through this. I do have a small control surface that I can actually expand to 64 inputs. So that would mean I wouldn't have to run that within vMix. I bought a Scarhoit control surface. And so, you know, somebody can control the audio in vMix, but all the patching, of course, is separate.
Right. Well, if you guys need to add another person, you know, obviously, if we can do, you said A1 or A2, obviously, I'd love to get by just with A1, but.
Well, no, an A1 being a high level primary operator. An A2 is usually a secondary person who sometimes has enough skills to help.
Right.
But a primary operator can really operate a mixer and do all the patching and things like that. So.
Right. Well, whatever you guys need to do to get that job done, I don't think it'll get any more complicated than what I've just described.
Yeah, well, and if we do conversations with the remote people, then that's a bit more complicated, as Joel was mentioning. So that would be, you know, part of his job to make sure that the right signals are going to PA and not feeding back into vMix, our production software, things like that.
Well, I think, as you said, it's natural to assume that somebody at the podium might want to talk to somebody who's calling in.
Okay. So Joel and I will discuss that, and then he'll get back to you on pricing and all that.
Yeah.
Okay.
And so, Mark, I know that there will be a couple screens. So we'll have the remote guest on the screen, of course, when they're calling in. What else would be on those screens? Is there a PowerPoint? Is there a, I mean, I know there's a few videos that we would roll in the room there, right?
Right.
So we would be driving that.
Right.
Yeah, I mean, we'll take
there
the
are
output.
some graphics. There's you know, I'm all for increasing the AHA brand, so we could throw up an AHA graphic in the background.
Yeah. So maybe it sounds like maybe we would just have a submix, Dave, that it would be the videos and the callers, and then when neither of those are in use, we would just have a standalone graphic on screen.
Right. And I was thinking if the graphic was easy to deal with, maybe we could turn that into a stinger, just to go from in videos and to videos and to give you a little pizzazz. But if not, we could use a generic stinger.
No, I can provide that.
Do you actually know how to make stingers?
Well, I thought you were talking stingers like a music stinger.
Oh, no. This is what's a graphic stinger is something that completely obscures this. It's a transition like a wipe, but it completely obscures the screen with, say, a graphic that comes from somewhere, obscures the screen for at least a frame or two, and then goes away and provides an overlay as a transition between, say, live and video playback.
No, then I'll go with the generic stinger.
Yeah, okay, we can do something fun that's generic.
Oh, just when I thought I caught up with the jargon.
There's always new jargon. Joel and I have to learn it too.
Okay, then real quick through the rest of the rundown. Then we do the Javier Garcia call in. Then Dennis is going to intro probably Rod Oshida, who will come up to talk about the U.S. Team Handball Foundation, the recipient of our fundraising efforts. There will be a little video there to talk about what they do. And then Dennis will bring up Bob Jogovich as our next host. And while that's happening, we'll go back to the bar, and we'll see how that lays out when we look at the floor plan in just a second, for a little update with JD and Max. So that will be our first opportunity. And at this point, the only opportunity in the program, unless I can figure out another way to build them in, to do their thing, commenting about the show and doing their pitch to write a check. Unfortunately, I couldn't convince the powers that be at the foundation to create a PayPal account so they could literally just click a button and make a donation. So they have to write out a check to send in. But
can you just use your PayPal, Mark, and just put that money into them?
No, because they got to write it to
yeah, for the tax
the foundation
yeah.
for the tax write-off.
Yeah.
Anyway, we're working on that for next year.
Now, Mark, do you think that the folks sitting at the bar, would they be within earshot of the stage so they could be getting their cues from whoever's speaking at the podium? I'm just thinking about for cueing.
That's a very good thing. I'll have a set of walkie-talkies so I can do them, but also they are within earshot. So that's something we got to work out other than hitting a certain point that we have agreed on. Okay, and we covered writing a check. Now let's throw it back to you. Anyway, that's a good point. So when we come out of that, we'll go back to Bob at the podium, who will introduce Ryan Johnson, who's the CEO of USA Team Handball. He'll make a 5-minute speech and throw it back to Bob, who will introduce whoever then is speaking for Renata, and we'll do the same thing for Founder 2 with a video roll in. At the end of that, we'll do a call in from Joe McVeigh, hopefully. That may change. I'm trying to get a woman from one of the teams to do that, but I haven't found one yet. So we're working on that. Next, we go to the Cavie Award. So Bob will bring up Mike Kavanaugh, who the award is named after, and he'll do a 5-minute presentation. I hope we can cut him to 5 minutes. Those of you who know Mike Kavanaugh know that's going to be a tough task, particularly since he's talking about his personal award. We bring up then Jana O'Shea, and this is where the seating chart comes in, because she, I just discovered, has Parkinson's disease and moves very slowly and speaks very softly. So we're putting her at a table right in front of the podium. There is a stage there, but because we're using the screen, it blocks the stage. So the podium will just be on flat floor, which for Jan's purposes works out fine because she has trouble with steps.
Should we plan to shoot her in her seat using that reverse camera and, you know, bring a microphone to her?
We could, if we had to. I'm working that out with her daughter right now.
Okay.
Her daughter thinks she can make it to the podium and she would like to do that.
Okay.
Just the physical challenge of it, I guess, or something.
Is that reverse camera primarily just for audience reaction shots then?
Yeah.
Okay. Joel, I forget.
And also just because it's floating around, and that's the handheld.
Oh, that's the handheld that you want to be the reverse camera. Okay. Right. Okay, that's fine. I was thinking, Joel, if you don't object to it, maybe we could do one PTZ camera as the reverse camera there. What do you think?
Yeah, so you're saying just so you could frame up a variety of audience reaction shots?
Exactly, and not tie up the camera. That way the handheld can stay more in the back of the room. Would mean less travel for the handheld.
Right. And yeah, so Mark, our plan was to have 3 cameras, and 2 of which would be operated. You know, so we'll have the wireless camera, and then we'll have a camera that would be more fixed on the podium, and then we can have a wide shot.
Right.
So yeah, that wireless, of course, we'll have, we can move it around, get a variety of shots. If we want to use that for audience reaction, we can. Yeah, Dave, I mean, if we had a PTZ, I'm thinking we would still want to have a wide shot. So
Sure.
Are you suggesting put in a fourth camera or?
Yeah, I don't have trouble with multiple PTZs if we want to do it. One of the things I was going to suggest is making the call time about 2 hours earlier. Not only is there a fair amount of complexity, but you don't know what's going to go wrong. And I might even say 3 hours earlier, but maybe that's just me. I'm not sure the load-in time and the load-in situation. But the only thing I ever want more of on these jobs is time. So if we can get into the facility earlier without blowing the budget, maybe instead of the A1, if the budget will handle it, we provide a little overtime for the 2 camera operators. I don't need it per se, but that way we could have a longer setup period.
Well, let's you and I talk about the financial ramifications.
Yeah, you and Joel can talk about that later, right?
Right. I don't want to,
yeah.
I'm all for, first of all, you guys can get in whenever you want.
Okay.
And in terms of loading, you go right next to the building.
Perfect.
There's nothing around but grass and trees. So,
great.
So from that standpoint, it's a pretty easy in and out, and there's no time constraints. It's just sort of getting somebody from SSC to show up at the right time and with the right key.
Right.
But anyway, let's talk about that later. We'll finish out here. So we do the Cavi Award. I'm working on Ray Gerke to do a call-in, who won the award last year. Then JD and I will come out and did you read the script there, JD?
Yeah, I'm kind of excited about it, so should be
fun. JD and I do a cute little thing.
Oh, back and forth.
And talk about AHA a little bit so people know that this is mainly a me and him thing. And we'll talk about next year's Handball Heroes 3, which we hope to have in Elkhart, Indiana, to celebrate the 50-year anniversary of the Olympic qualifying there that sent the Army Champs team to Munich, which is the central, one of the central points of the story of the film we're trying to make. So we'll pitch that. Then we got a moment of remembrance for the king, for Shandar Rivniak, and a little video that goes there. And I've got to work on Vinny DiCollegiero to be part of that. Then we go into the big finish with Founder 3, Laszlo, and MP Mary Pat knows of my efforts or my wish to find a violinist to come in and play something that's Hungarian and classical that would then turn into Happy Birthday. I'm working it out with the kitchen to have a birthday cake with, he turns 90. I don't know if we'll have 90 candles, but we'll have something representative. And he blows out the candles. One of his closest players who can't be there with us, Kevin Serapiti, hopefully will call in. And then to finish things out, we'll go back to the bar with JD and Max, and we'll say goodbye and finish out. And according to my timing, we'll finish at 10. But if we're still at 10, I'll be amazed.
Mark, excuse me. Do you have all of the segments that we're going to JD and Max or whoever's sitting in the back at the bar doing the pitches, the interstitial pitches? Do you have all of those laid out on the rundown, or are there more times that you'll go back to them?
No, that's all that I have thus far.
Okay.
That may be subject to change as I play with things, but
all right. So as long as you add those to the rundown, then that would be appreciated.
absolutely. Let's take a look at the floor plan.
Great.
So you guys can see my pointer, right?
Yes.
Yes.
My cursor. So here's the door in. So up here is grass, and this is where they play the games and stuff. So the idea would be to have the camera out here, and they come through the door. And as you come in, immediately to the right is the bar. So this is where JD and Max would be, and they would be more towards this end.
Okay.
As you can see, it's clearly line of sight and within shouting distance, not even real shouting distance. You can hear clearly from the bar to the podium.
So if we have the camera at the opening over sort of, near that left side of the bar as we're looking at the diagram, is there enough room to shoot through and do your entrance shots there, or does the camera need to be outside?
Well, I'm looking at it. I'm just trying to match the drone shot that we would dissolve from a video drone shot to a live outside shot and come in.
Okay.
I just like that opening, but if that technically is not possible, then wherever you want to be inside is fine.
Joel, could we put that receiver on a stand, set it outside the door, and then once this thing begins, bring it inside and just have a long cable, a long SDI cable connecting that to the switcher?
Yeah, potentially. If we had a hand to, someone who's able to move that once we're underway, then that's a possibility.
Okay. Is that an HDMI out or SDI out?
It's SDI.
Okay, great.
Okay, so right now, this main area is pretty well sold, but nothing else. This side area, which is available, has not been sold. So that's where I'm putting the streaming by control area.
Right.
And so you should have plenty of area here. We can move tables around, whatever needs to be comfortable. These two lines represented screens that I might have to rent in order for these people to see screens, because obviously they can't see the big screen. But at this point,
so that's your overflow room. Yeah, we would probably want to be in the far right bottom corner to be out of people's way for their view of the screens.
Down here?
Yeah, and we probably would want at least two 6-foot tables. If you can arrange that for us.
Not a problem.
Can you tell me what lighting is like in the room? A good thing for video might be to have a little illumination. What is the lighting situation on the podium, on the bar area? Do we need to bring supplemental lighting?
Yes, I'm looking into that. Unfortunately, the options out of, without going into New York, there's not a lot of options. I was asking Joel about that, the place you could go to rent screens or to rent lights, and there are some, but I haven't found a lot, but I'll be looking into that. I've got some pictures that I can't get to handily right now, but I'll send to you.
Great.
I should probably get your email address, Dave.
Oh, David at streambite.tv. Same as Joel, but my name.
Okay, just David at.
Yep, David at streambite.tv.
Okay, then I will send you those. What did I do? I just inadvertently.
I'm on that intro email from Joel, by the way. I was copied on that.
Oh, that's right. Okay, let me go back to don't need this.
Yeah, I have access to a couple of Lecos that are LED Lecos. I would be interested in the ceiling height there too, if we can get up high. And I'm assuming you're going to want to put the podium off to the side so the screen is more visible, or the screen off to the side so the podium is centered.
That's probably a good point. I right now have it obviously centered, but that's probably a good point.
Yeah, and part of the reason for wanting to have good lighting is the screen is going to have a certain amount of brightness, and we obviously have to build up the podium to at least equal the screen's brightness. Okay. And of course, you don't want overhead light alone to cast deep shadows under people's eyes.
Right.
So the ceiling in that main area is, I don't know, probably about 14 feet.
It's pretty high.
Good.
Yeah. Lighting, though, is kind of dim in that main area. I think it's brighter to the kind of tables to the left on Mark's drawing. But that's usually just because it's the evening. I've never seen it. I don't know if there's brighter lights available or not, but whenever we've been there, it's just kind of dim.
All right. Well, we can bring in lights. I'm debating whether or not it's worth it, or if your pictures are going to be good enough to save me a trip up there to do a location site survey in advance of it. That would be my normal plan, but you know, it is a couple hours away, so 4 hours, it kills a half a day just to do the drive.
Well, let me get these pictures
Max,
to
you got any
you,
pictures
and
too?
I can also request them to take video of it.
Great.
And then I'll have them send it to you, or well, they'll send it to me. I'll send it to you, and hopefully we can circumvent having you drive up there.
Great, that would be wonderful.
Okay, let's take a look at the rehearsal schedule that I have, because I called for a 2 o'clock crew call. You think we may have to start earlier?
Yeah, I would say at least noon, given what I know at this moment. So at least noon. It's possible we could do it another hour earlier, even better. But that's usually the only thing that guys like me ask for, is more time to troubleshoot, you know, with late arriving materials, you know, get everything there. Plus, if worst case scenario is we end up with more time for rehearsal.
Okay. Yeah, with rehearsal, I probably only going to get people for about a half hour. I just want to do a real quick run through. Okay,
sure.
Dennis, you get up, you do blah, 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 you introduce Bob, blah, 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 blah. Okay.
And who is going to be queuing all these people in their sequence and having them on standby, making sure we know where they are? Whose responsibility is that? Is that an Aaron or a Mary Pat?
That's probably an Aaron. But it's either one of those. Now that I think about it, it's probably going to be a Mary Pat.
Okay.
Because Aaron will probably be more with me on the broadcast.
Okay. Recommendation too is that whatever walkie-talkies you want to use, I would give people earpieces for those.
Yeah, I've got a pack of 6 with earpieces.
Great. Okay. Yep, we have wired intercom to camera. I could give the remote guy use his phone as it. We use something called Unity Intercom, so I could give him that to help him, or the walkie-talkie. So however makes most sense.
Okay.
That's good.
All right. Well, we'll probably have 2 different crew calls then. We'll have a tech crew call and then a crew call for other folks.
Great idea.
And then we'll also be doing a crew dinner that probably our intern will go out to get, or maybe Jamie, now that he has a driver's license.
Oh, bless you. Dinner for the crew. Nice thought.
So we'll be eating from 6:30 to 7:30 because the real dinners are $60 a head. So, but we'll eat well, I promise you. Anyway, so that's the basic rehearsal schedule, that will be fine-tuned per Dave's thoughts when we finally arrive at what time he wants to get there. Then let's look quickly at the agenda again. Where is it? Yes.
Mark, you feel comfortable that Laz can endure a full night?
You know, I'm going on, you'll hear me refer people to a guy named Harry, whose name is Bill Harrison, who's a longtime player on the East Coast for Garden City and Adelphi. And Harry is Laz's, he's driving him there. He's his sort of personal attendant. And so I'll be checking in with Harry today.
Okay.
And he says he's okay with it. Unfortunately, Laszlo's wife, Ingrid, fell 2 weeks ago and broke her hip. So she's in a hospital, and Laz and his son, Christian, they have an estranged relationship. And so Christian has decided to stay at the hospital with his mother rather than go to the event. But apparently Laz is really looking forward to this.
Okay, so Laz knows there's no surprise factor in this. Laz is
No, we had to nail everybody down. And Jan O'Shea, who's winning the Cavi, is really excited and bringing 5 of her family and
great.
Hey, Mark and Mary Pat, I'd also like to bring up the question of a wired internet connection and wired Ethernet connection to their network. Usually when we do events, we are working with somebody in IT from the facility, and they hopefully can give us what's called managed bandwidth, which means regardless of how many other people are on their internet in the facility, they're able to dedicate a certain amount of bandwidth to us. And given that we have 1 or more callers in as well as out, Joel, what do you think you'd like to see for bandwidth in each direction there?
I would say probably at least 25 up and down.
Okay, so 25 megabits per second up and down minimum.
Well, they promised me 35.
That would be great. Is it 35 up and down?
I can tell you that, you know, this is not a hotel, so nobody else is going to be on it.
Okay. Well, usually the people who run the facility.
I'm sorry.
Often the people who run the facility are sort of left out of thinking about it, meaning if there's an event going on and it's, well, it's going to be the evening, so hopefully most people have gone home. But sometimes when there's an event there are other people at an event, or even just somebody who's streaming video into another room. You know, they're streaming a movie or something.
Well, my experience with the SSC is nobody does anything. They sit at the bar and drink and tell stories about how great things were 40 years ago.
Love that.
And there's no IT person.
Okay.
And Craig Gilbert periodically comes in and goes, somebody's going to be here, get cleaned up. And,
right.
And
well, it would be good
there's
to know.
not going to be anybody. The bad news is there's no IT person.
Okay.
The good news is nobody's doing anything to interrupt our.
Okay.
Our
I would like to know then whether there's a network connection, an Ethernet connection,
right,
in the room or nearby the room, or if that router that we have to plug into is somewhere else, and then how far away, so we can get some long cables or plan for something else.
Okay. I will find that out. That's
all right.
One of the.
Joel, I'll bring the cradle point with me as a backup in case we have any trouble with that.
Okay, so we've talked about rehearsal and setup, and we're just going through the Wi-Fi preps. Any other issues about call-ins Dave, or anybody
As
else?
long as you and I can get those on the schedule with a couple days in advance, that the reason for a couple days in advance is to allow for something like if somebody needs to get a better microphone or a light that they don't have, set up there, or they don't have earbuds, but or headphones, but we've asked for that in advance. And so just want to provide a little time to do problem solving. And if we needed to do a secondary test once somebody got something. Also, people's cameras and internet connections are notoriously variable. So we'll have to be, we'll have to sort of set the bar low and be happy with what we get, unless it's really problematic.
I will try to do a pre-Zoom.
Okay.
With everybody, just to see what we're getting involved with. I just wish somebody was Livingston and I could do a presume with them. Anyway, so we'll try to line that up. On call-ins, we talked about crew dinner, and I'll get the latest on COVID checks as much as possible, but I'm pretty sure that when we do check-ins, we'll have to be checking. I don't know what happens if somebody shows up who's on our list, paid for their ticket, and they don't have proof.
Ask them to wear a mask when they're not eating.
Yeah, I actually just sent something about that.
Yeah.
According to, I don't know if you guys saw the chat, according to Phil Murphy, the New Jersey governor, they're taking away all restrictions on the 4th, it looks like.
On the 4th?
Yeah.
Wow. Just in time.
Yeah, you don't need indoor. It also looks like you don't need indoor masks anymore or 6 feet as of today.
Yeah, wow. I mean, and then it becomes up to the event producers what kind of policies they want to set for themselves if they want to be more restrictive, which in this case, it sounds like you would not.
Wow.
But you know, you have to see if there's a sensitivity, considering that there are older people obviously involved in this.
Right. But most of those have all been vaccinated, and I may make another appeal to some of the Army Champs guys who, when I first talked to them, all said, "Well, the variants we're a little skittish." And I don't know if that translates into, I wasn't that big of a Laszlo fan, so I'm not coming out. But
no, it's surprising how skittish people are. I mean,
yeah.
Having dealt with other events in the last, or planning for events in the next 2 months, some people just are not going to go to that wedding because they don't know that they're comfortable yet.
Right. Well, hopefully, if they do change things on June 4th, that'll make things very easy. And by the way, MP, I've decided just to go with canned music for the gold medal mixer, but make it classical. So it'll be a mix of German and Hungarian composers. So Bach, Beethoven, Liszt, that sort of thing. To make it classy, you know what I'm saying? Hey, we got Beethoven right here.
I assume we go ahead, Mary Pat. I didn't mean to interrupt. Mark, I assume we're going to have like a 15-minute countdown on screen over a graphic that has room for a countdown before we begin, so that people joining the stream. And where are we streaming to?
Oh, we're streaming to the developed as we speak aha.games website. So hopefully that'll be done later this week.
Okay.
And then we'll talk about that separately.
Okay.
Will that be a YouTube link, Mark?
Probably.
Okay, so I'd love to do a streaming test with them, or you and they once that's set up, so we can test the player.
Right. The good news is you're talking to the IT department.
Excellent.
I don't know if you've ever heard of Without Code.
I have heard of that, yeah.
So it's a place where you can go to design your website, and it's fantastic the things that you can do. You start with the template, and the only reason I got involved is the woman who has done all my graphics for every production over the last 40 years, who I think is the best in the business, recommended it. So I know I can do a Zoom sharing call with her to say, okay, how the fuck do I fix this? And she can help me with it. But right now, all I'm doing is pouring content in there and going, I think this is what I want to do. So
okay,
a lot of work to be done, but Nancy's in the background willing to help. So
okay, let's keep all graphics 1920 by 1080.
Right.
And if we could, please, horizontal, that'd be great.
Yep. Okay, does anybody else have potential issues or concerns?
I got one question, Mark. What dress code do you want from me and JD? Are we talking like suits here?
Yeah, well, not suits, but I would like you in shirts and ties.
Okay.
But hip shirts and ties.
Yeah.
Whatever you young guys do.
All righty. And crew and production blacks? I assume?
Blacks.
Okay.
And ladies, whatever you think is appropriate, please don't listen to a word I say. And that was my wife in the background going, yeah. Okay. So Dave and Joel, I'm going to send you some more pictures and stuff. And then later this week, we'll talk about, once you've thought about things, we'll talk about whether we need an extra person and stuff like that.
Yeah, Dave and I will review the pictures you send, and we'll circle back with you later this week and let you know what our thoughts are.
All right, circling back sounds very John.
Great, and you're going to go ahead and get us some time. Do we have one or more call-ins? I missed that.
Oh, we have 4.
4. Okay, so obviously we want to get to all 4 people in the near future for that. And you're going to find out what the situation is with the PA system in there.
Right.
I may bring one just as a backup as well for quality of. You got a lot of older folks in the room. You want to make sure they can hear well, so want to make sure that works well.
No, you don't understand. We're all 26 and still play the game. And drink tons of beer afterwards.
I hope to be as young as you are when I get to be your age, which is not that far away. All right.
Well, we look at these guys playing the sport, which is a very rough sport. I don't know if you've seen it, but it's very contact oriented. And as we look at it today, we look at each other and go, we actually played that? God. I hurt just watching it.
So
it's been a pleasure meeting well, of course, I know everybody except for Dave going into this, but Dave, it's been a pleasure to meet you and to get everybody together. Feel free, obviously, to email me anybody if concerns come up. We'll be seeing you on June 5th at your respective call times, and you'll be getting other memorandi from me. And anything else?
We'll do it.
No.
All right. Well, here's a 45-minute meeting that turned into almost an hour and a half. So I only missed it by a factor of.
Hey, Jamie.
Yeah.
Could you bring your laptop with you so that you can edit an excerpt for me or pull from your SD card maybe an excerpt for me so I don't have to find it and lose it? I mean, I know I can make bookmarks in it, but it might be helpful if you can lift that from your SD or micro SD card for me and put it on a thumb drive or something so I can get to it easily.
Yeah, I can do that.
I appreciate that, buddy. Thank you.
All right. Oh, I'm going to stop my share and get back here. All right, everybody. Thanks, and we'll see you soon.
Cheers.
Take care.
Thank you all.
Bye.
Time. Bye.